One battle after another, a film which I've been waiting for a long time, is finally in cinemas now. I had a chance to see it, and boy, I've got some thoughts. If you're unaware, Paul Thomas Anderson has a new film in theaters, One Battle After Another, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, etc., etc. And is a loose adaptation of the book Vineland, and yeah, it's one of those films which needs to take a while to sit with, because there's just so much going on in it. But with what I can gather, my thoughts, and like trying to gather my thoughts after watching it, I am going as far to say that it's PTA's best film, and maybe the best film of the decade. Like, hold fire for a sec. I know you're probably going to be like, oh, but you got like films like Oppenheimer, etc., etc. This is comparable to Oppenheimer, okay? This is on the same level. PTA, he's one of the best directors working today. I loved his last film, Licorice Pizza. I thought it was great, Phantom Thread. But I do think that films like Magnolia and Boogie Nights kind of say something about him as a director more than they do. Because I feel like his later works go into a more stoner vibe. They go into a more character-driven vibe. Because at the end of the day, he says he writes his characters with a lot of love, and they're quite lovable. But I don't necessarily think that applies to quite a few of his films, because I feel like a few of his characters come from, say, like narcissism or something like that, like Reynolds Woodcock in Phantom Thread, for instance. But then you got characters like Jag, you got Dirk Diggler, you got fucking Gary in Licorice Pizza, who kind of are lovable. But I feel like each one of his characters has this awful mentality to them, which you don't really get from other directors' films. Exhibit A, One Battle After Another, Leonardo DiCaprio, Bob Ferguson. A character so kind of narcissistic that it kind of says something about modern day America, if I'm honest. And with the whole revolutionary angle being released at this current time in America, it's kind of crazy, because American history feels like it's being changed by the day, especially with what's happening right now. It feels like this is perfectly timed, strangely enough. And you probably think that it's a caveat going into it, but it really isn't. If anything, it just makes the film stronger at that point. But let's talk about the film itself, shall we? One Battle After Another is one of those films which needs a lot of time and needs a progression, because it's so structurally in sync with its emotions that I do feel that if you're just looking at it from the action point of view, you're not really going to get as much from it as you would kind of want. And I'm one of those people who wanted the emotional values more than the action side, but you get a good sprinkle of each. I think a lot of that is down to his masterful directing. I think the directing in this film is probably the best of the year. And sure, you got films like Sinners, which feels like it's directed up the wazoo. I think the direction in that film feels extremely unearth-like. It feels very alien. But PTA taking a grounded approach, taking a revolutionary approach, going deep with characters who you wouldn't necessarily expect to be deep. That is what we know PTA for. And yeah, he comes in, clocks in, and refuses to clock out. Which reminds me of performances. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's great as always. Every time you see him on the screen, he kind of gives that energy, he gives that charisma, and you really feel like he's down on his luck. Bob is so down on his luck. He is so in his own head. And for that very reason, I think he's up there in the pantheon of like excellent PTA characters. But to me, the standout is definitely Lockjaw. He is like one of the most menacing film characters I think I've ever seen. He's scary, but he's also vulnerable. He's vulnerable, but he's also scary. He gives that feeling of anxiety every time he's on screen. And part of that is down to Sean Penn, who gives probably one of the best supporting performances I've ever seen. The way he moves his jaw up and down, the way that he just stares blankly into the eyes of these characters. He definitely feels menacing, which is definitely the point. He's heartless, and the only thing he cares about is America. And yeah, it's pretty great satirical take on like army generals, I guess. Another thing that really works for me is the cinematography. And a lot of people are probably going to be like, oh, but it just looks really flat. Take it for someone who's seen the film. It doesn't. Like, the camera moves up and down, especially with that hill sequence, which, all-timer. That Hills action sequence might be better than the entire length of Fury Road. Like, that is one of the best action sequences I've ever seen. But back to the cinematography, I think that it's perfectly in sync with what the film is trying to say and what it wants to do. Being shot in VistaVision, being blown up into all these different formats, it kind of just gives you this incredible feeling of like, yeah, cinema's back, baby. It's one of the prettiest looking films of the year. I'm just gonna say it. Another thing that works for me is just the idea itself. Being a film about revolutionary power and what it means to be a father in modern America, knowing what's what political side you lean on while also kind of leaning on your own side and family, it's really interesting. The PTA telling it in this way, being so snappy with it, like the first 20 minutes might be the most invigorated I have been with any film. And you know what, I'm going to be watching it again. I'm literally going to see it tomorrow. It's going to be great once again. I'll be able to pick up on little things which I probably missed the first time around, such as little clues, such as little performances, such as little things that are in the background that I probably missed the first time around. But bro, this is everything what I've wanted in a modern blockbuster. This is what modern blockbuster filmmaking should be. Not Lilo and Stitch, even though I like Lilo and Stitch, not those kind of films which I kind of feel like they're just there to sell toys. This is clearly a film from passion, from love, from thought. A film which takes time, 2 hours and 40 minutes, which flies by the way. It feels like an hour and a half. The quickest 2 hour 40 minutes I've ever seen, man. Also, Teyana Taylor, Academy Award campaign win. I'm going to give One Battle After Another a 10 out of 10. I think I've only seen, 3 films this year which are 10 out of 10, which are like perfect scores, which is crazy considering that the last few years there have been quite a few. This year has kind of felt like it's falling down a little bit in terms of like the films I want to see, not being able to access them, etc, etc. But I think the UK is starting to come in clutch, which about fucking time. But yeah, this is the film of the decade for me. It's one of those perfect examples of what the cinematic arts can bring if you really like pay attention to it. Those are my thoughts on One Battle After Another. Thank you guys for watching this video. I kind of want to experiment with reviews. I kind of want to do a little more in-depth, little unedited, well, a little bit less edited than usual kind of videos like this one. And I might also show off some like Blu-rays or records eventually. I kind of want to switch it up a bit. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell me down below what you want to see from me next. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.